Meeple Nation Podcast, episode 558, our top 30 games of all time.
Welcome, citizens, to Meeple Nation. Grab your favorite beverage, pull up a chair, warm up those dice, and join us at the game table as we discuss board games and the board gaming world. Each week, the hosts of Meeple Nation share their love for board games and the amazing memories that come from playing games with some very outstanding people. Let us now join our hosts in their natural habitat, the game table.
Was that 558 a question? It kind of sounded.
Did it kind of sound like a question?
It kind of did.
You know, I've been screwing up release numbers left and right lately, so maybe the question mark's supposed to be there. Maybe that question mark's for me.
I logged into the podcast episode, or like my app on my phone the other day, and it went from like 555 to I can't even remember. Yeah, 561 or something. I shot you a text that morning. I was like, "Hey, we need to change the number." It's okay. It is 558. You nailed it. First try.
First try.
The game? No.
The game?
The game.
The game.
Gosh, I feel like Dave now. Meeple Nation Podcast is sponsored by Game Toppers LLC. Kick on over to GameToppersLLC.com. Check out what they have. They have some amazing product. They have a product that will upgrade every single game that you have in your game room. We love our Game Toppers. We play on them weekly, and we thoroughly enjoy them. We also take them to conventions with us, SaltCon in particular, and we host tons of games on those Game Toppers. They are definitely eye-turners, and I'm sure you would love to have one in your game room. GameToppersLLC.com. Check them out.
Awesome. We are the hosts of Meeple Nation. I am Douglas Stewart.
I'm Nathan Howard.
And I am Andy Holiday.
We have a webpage. It is the world's most okayest webpage for the world's most okayest podcast.
I approve of that most okay joke. Shut up, Nathan.
Well, case in point.
Wow.
You can head on over to meeplenation.com where you can listen to all of our past episodes, find some links to our socials, learn a little bit more about us, and find a link to our Patreon. Head on over there if you're interested in becoming a patron of the show. That is something that we would greatly appreciate. You can also drop us a line because we would love to hear from you at meeplenation@gmail.com.
All right. With that, I'm just checking my watch.
Is it?
It sure looks like it's highlight 30.
Oh, awesome.
Andy, why don't you go? Because I'm really excited about yours.
Yeah, so last Friday, so game night has been sparse at my place for the last recent memory. Since August, we've had a...
Well, it's so weird because it was like almost too many people for months.
Yeah.
It was like a basement full of people, and then all of a sudden it was like no one.
Because I started showing up again.
No, it was, I think just everybody got busy. Things have been happening since fall arrived.
Yeah.
And, but so it was just Nathan and I last Friday, and we got Marvel Zombies to the table, and we fought Galactus again. But this time it ended a little differently.
Nice.
We finally defeated Galactus.
Yeah, it was an epic completion.
Was an epic completion. So Hulk kind of rampaged on Galactus and kind of almost took him down single-handedly. And then we had, was it Sabretooth? Sabretooth came in and finished
scratch
him
him.
That's awesome. So were you guys playing as the zombie heroes against regular Galactus?
Yep.
Okay. So Galactus's appearance and destruction of Earth was encroaching on essentially your food supply.
Yep. Gotta save the food. Gotta save the brains.
As zombie heroes, you had to protect Earth, aka the brains.
Yes.
That's great. I love that.
No, it was good times. And yeah, it was, we kept thinking, oh man, we're dead. We can't take another one of these. And then we had all of our power surge. What were those cards called? The
Cosmic Power cards.
Yeah.
And I think they call them Power Cosmic cards, but they should be called Cosmic Power cards. So whenever you kill a superhero and whenever you would gain an objective token, you gained one of those cards. And you could only ever have one, but we used those with perfect timing. And yeah, so Hulk jumped up on the engine, and then a card got played that added a -2 toughness. Hulk already drops all enemies down to -1, so he had a -4 to his toughness, or to Galactus's toughness. And I used my heroes, the bystander that Hulk ate gave him an extra movement for free once per turn.
That's so.
So he jumped onto the engine for free, and then Andy got a -1 toughness for the engine. So he went crazy with all of his attacks, took out 4 locations in 1 turn.
Are you trying to say that Hulk smashed?
Oh, he
Hulk
totally
did smash,
He
yes.
totally smashed. It was awesome. That left just the engine, and then Sabretooth jumped on there and
Did
finished
his
it
one
off.
damage.
Yep, finished it off. It was awesome.
Cool. That's fantastic. I'm glad you guys got that to table.
It was fantastic.
It was a family event night for me. I was not able to be there. But
The end of the year is always such a busy time. It's
yeah,
tough.
holidays in particular, right? It's a lot of gatherings and get together. It's all good things, but it really starts to encroach on my game time. And then I start wondering if it is all good things,
Yeah.
even though it totally is. But I wonder. Maybe
But I
it's
wonder.
not. But it is.
I get that for sure.
Nathan, what have you been playing? I want you to go first because I think we might have some overlap on some of the stuff that is on our list to
Yeah.
potentially talk about. So I want to see what you talk about first.
Well, I have kind of a long list of games here. I've been playing a lot of 2-player games that we've picked up lately. Andy and I also played the other night. We played Pagan, The Fate of Roanoke.
Roanoke.
Roanoke, yeah. And this is a game where one person is a witch, one person is a witch hunter, and you have your city folk there, your town folk of 9 people, and the witch picks one of those at random, and that is the witch's true identity. And then the hunter is going to go through and try to eliminate the non-witch personas and try to whittle it down and with enough information to try to eliminate the witch.
And when he says eliminate, he means the hunter is proving them innocent. He can kill them, but you're really trying
Yes.
to prove them innocent.
Yeah.
You're not trying to kill the innocent townsfolk.
No. But you do have 3 opportunities to do that, and
Aw.
if you fail 3
sorry.
times, it's the witch wins. And but he didn't eliminate any players, but he did prove several innocent,
Yeah, half
But-
of them,
but not the right one.
but not the right one.
So in a sea of 2-player games, where does this one rank?
I liked it. I enjoyed it a lot more than Andy did, I think. There were some little nuances because it was a first-time playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, I would like to switch sides, give it another shot.
So it's like 2-player werewolf?
No.
No. And that's what, when I was teaching it and I was reading the rules and talking to Andy, I'm like, I'm a little nervous here that this is going to be exactly like that. But it wasn't like, it didn't have that feel at all. It has that element, but it didn't have that werewolf feel or that Salem feel at all.
I think it's one that I would probably enjoy more as the witch, because the strategy I feel like you would have to employ falls more in line with the style that I enjoy.
Okay.
Where you have really all of the information and you're trying to be sneaky and trying to obtain what your goal and you're trying to deflect where they think the witch is. You're trying to confuse them and make them go in a different direction to misdirect. Whereas with the hunter, it's more just deciphering. You're just trying to figure out who the witch is. There are multiple ways to do it, and there's not near as much going on for the hunter, I didn't feel like, whereas the witch, you had spells you could put out, you had cards you could put down for your familiar, you had other cards that you could use your tokens to I don't know what were those called, Nathan? The on the top part of your board. Were those weren't spells. What were those?
Charms.
Charms. So you could bring charms out. You also are putting tokens on the villagers. You can visit the villagers. There was a lot more going on, a lot more options, a lot more you could do. It felt to me as the witch than it did as the hunter.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me that in a 2-player game, they wouldn't have made both sides equally engaging.
Well, and do take note, it was just our first game.
It was, and
And it
I've
was
only
kind of a rough learn, so.
and I've
Sounds
only
like
played it
sounds
the
like
one
it was
side.
terrible. Sounds like it was. Sounds like I hated it.
And I only played the
I
one
haven't
side, so
yeah.
it would be interesting to switch and get a different take on it for sure.
Sure.
But
Got
yeah,
it. Cool. No, that's interesting. Well, we had some overlap here.
Yes.
A couple weeks ago, Nathan and I got to sit down. We played. It was just the two of us, so we played some 2-player games. We played King of Tokyo Duel. We played Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth, and we played Chuhan.
Yeah.
And I thought King of Tokyo Duel, I was really concerned, maybe not concerned, but I was curious as to how they were going to turn that into a 2-player game, because even at 2 players, I don't feel like there's anything wrong with the base game. of King of Tokyo. However, they did a few things different with this one that I thought were pretty good. It's the same, standard dice rolling. There are multiple paths to victory. You can defeat your enemy, or you can essentially roll combos enough to pull. There's sort of two tracks. One represents your fame and one represents your destruction. And if you can pull one of those all the way to your side, or both of them to a certain point on the track toward your side, you win. And you can just win by points, I believe. Wasn't there just just straight up points. So I thought that it was a fine implementation. I have a copy of this. I don't know if it'll stay on my shelf just because 2-player games are hard to get to. And I don't know that this was like a standout 2-player game, but I liked it. I did think that it was genuinely really good. Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth, I thought was excellent.
I really enjoyed.
And I had kind of heard that this was just sort of a re-theming or a re-skinning of Seven Wonders Duel, but I was really pleasantly surprised that it wasn't.
Yeah.
There's a whole map of Middle-earth. There's a control
element there.
Yeah. Like I hesitate to say area control, but that's kind of what it was. It's area control. You kind of have the same feel with the science cards, except you're recruiting factions. But I like the way that worked, where you get to draw 2, pick one, and there's some that give you an immediate boost and some that give you ongoing effects. I felt like a really fun implementation. That really great Vincent Dutrait art was awesome. Components were cool. There's a really cool track that you put out there
the track was pretty fun.
Yeah. It's like a little sliding track that represents the Fellowship's, Frodo and Sam. It's their progress toward Mount Doom. But then there's a track that lays over that has the Nazgul. And so depending on which side you're on, you're moving that track, and the Nazgul can slowly catch up to Frodo and Sam. And if they can catch them before they get to Mount Doom, you win. If Frodo and Sam can throw the ring in, you win. Like, there were lots and lots of victory conditions, lots of ways to manipulate the board and do cool things. I really liked it. I thought that it was great. That's one that I'm glad is on the shelf, and I'll keep around for a long time.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
Chuhan I liked. I think I liked Chuhan a lot more than you did, though.
I thought Chuhan was fine. It's a numbers game. Straight up, like playing your numbers, and there is so much luck because you're playing the hand that you're dealt. Some of those cards have abilities that you can really leverage to really play your hand well. And if you don't get any of those, you don't really have that option. Chuhan, I would not say no. I didn't dislike the game. It wasn't a standout game, though. I will just say that. Other than the art. The art was fantastic.
The art was amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah, but I would compare Chuhan similar to a little bit beefier Fox in the Forest. Where you have a certain amount of cards and you're trying to just maintain and manage your winning probability with the few cards that you have.
I mean, it's not a trick taker like Fox in the Forest.
Right.
It's definitely more of a numbers crunch, but yeah, I can kind of see what you're saying. For sure. Yeah.
Yep, all about drawing cards, and because you can draw your cards to supplement your hand and give you more variety to have sets that you're playing. Like I say, a beefier version of Fox in the Forest. I enjoyed it. The key element to me for sure was the art. The art was amazing on it. Yeah.
I would say it's one of those games that at face value, I don't think it's much of a standout, but I think for players that stick with it, there's some real emergent strategy.
Yeah.
There's probably some good gameplay there that we didn't experience in one play.
Yep. Yeah.
So.
No, I'm looking forward to teaching it to my wife. I'm sure it's one that her and I will be able to play.
Awesome. No, that's good. Yeah, I definitely did not dislike it. I just think it was like I said, it just wasn't a standout.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a better way for me to say it than that.
One other final 2-player game that Andy and I got to play a few weeks back, actually, was we did get HeroScape, the new version of HeroScape, to the table. Presented it to Andy, and Andy, what did you feel of? What was your take on HeroScape?
I liked it. I thought it was fun. I liked the fact that we played twice. We did choose different armies.
Yeah.
I think the most frustrating part for me was the drafting.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think that's because when you're drafting armies, there's when you start out, okay, I'm going to pick this person because that goes really well with this power. So I'm going to pair up my army exactly how I want. And then Nathan goes and takes the one guy that you needed.
Yeah.
So I think because you're pulling from the same pool and certain abilities that synergize with others are very specific. And maybe that will be remedied as more stuff comes out. It probably will, I'm guessing. But since it's just all new and it's limited, I'm thinking that's something that is not going to be an issue later on.
Yeah. Well, especially if you introduce of my classic stuff.
True. Yeah.
I mean, I have armies galore, but that does tend to bog down
The drafting.
the drafting phase.
Right. Unless everybody's intimately familiar with what's out there for sure.
Yeah, and that game hasn't been played in forever, so there's no one here that's intimately familiar with all those armies. So
No, but otherwise the gameplay I thought was great. It was really fun. It had a lot of strategy involved. I loved the fact that each unit had its own strengths and its own abilities that allow you to do specific things on the battlefield and kind of control, whether it's controlling or allowing you to move your guys around more. You had one ability, Nathan, that allowed you to activate another one of your group.
Not boss, but
It was one of your
the
groups,
leader,
right? Oh yeah, and it allowed you to move your leader again and activate again. That was huge.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think
still lost, but
you won the second time. You used him again,
oh, okay. Used him better the second time.
or I just didn't defend well enough. But yeah, it was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, I really like this game. I'm excited to get it to the table. I'm excited for more content, and because I mean, you can make that terrain bigger and better and stronger, and just the table presence alone. And I am looking forward to trying to put together a whole big one with classic materials and.
Yeah, that would be cool. Very epic.
That's what I'm looking forward to, is just putting together a RPG campaign, making a map.
Yep.
That's why I'm getting the
That's why
Heroescape
you're
stuff.
in it?
Yeah.
In it to win it for the terrain.
I'm just in it for the terrain, which is awesome, by the way.
Yeah,
It's
it
really,
is.
really cool.
All right. Well, that's good times. I think we'll, with that, I am satisfied with my highlights. How about you?
Oh, that was just Nathan's highlights? Holy cow.
No, that was not just my highlights this time. That was last time. But now let's go to meat o'clock
I love it.
and jump into the meat of the podcast. This is
it.
This is it.
The top 10.
All those other games, the 30 through 11 or whatever,
They don't mean anything.
garbage.
Yeah, they're out.
Trash games compared to these.
Except for the ones that we've already talked about that are in other people's top 10.
well,
Okay.
of course. Of course.
Those ones are still great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like Doug's number 30. That's great.
Oh, that's so
All right.
good. All right. Who wants to start us off? So we're counting down from 10 to 1.
I'll give us a start here.
Awesome.
My number 10 is Clink Catacombs. I love this game. I love the fact that there's a new expansion out for this, which I have not yet played. I need to. Maybe that'll be a goal this week, is to play
A
that.
Christmas miracle.
It would probably be, considering what my schedule looks like this week. But yeah, I love, as everybody knows, I love dungeon crawls. Clink has not been my favorite game. I mean, I've played it. Clink Legacy I exclude Clink Legacy out of that. Clink Legacy was awesome. And I didn't even play the whole thing. I played the last 3 games of Clink Legacy and I still had a ball.
Well, I've only played the first 4, so.
Hey, together we almost have an entire Legacy experience,
Yeah.
Nathan.
Well, I have played it from beginning to end, and I can say
Brag
that
it
it
up.
is truly epic. It's awesome. It is so good.
Yeah, and I do have a second copy so that we can get it to the table. So
Nice.
But
Can't wait.
Clink Catacombs is what has kind of brought on my love for Clink. I love the modular map. I love the exploration, and it seems more, the replayability is a lot higher for me because it's not just a static board, and your strategies change because you don't know where you're going to find what, and you have to be on your toes as you're playing it and really kind of switch your strategy over as new tiles come out. I love this game. It's a great game.
yeah, the modular board on Clink Catacombs does kick Clank up a whole new level. I very much appreciate the Clink. I guess it's a universe, but I think the modular Clank in Space kicked it up from the base game, but Clink Catacombs just knocked it out of the park as far as Clink games are concerned for me.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to think they're working on a modular board version of Clink in Space, too.
I would think so.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
It's
I
got to
would
be
love that.
coming at some point. But
Yeah.
I, too, like Clink Catacombs. It's a really good pick. It's a good game.
So good that it didn't make my top 30 at all.
Wow.
It didn't make mine either, but there's loads of great games that didn't make my top 30.
Indeed.
All right, my number 10 is Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon. This is one that I played through solo this year. It took me many months to get through it, and I just kind of played it in my free time. This is an outstanding game. This is an Awakened Realms game. and it has kind of a dark Arthurian legend vibe to it. It has an incredibly well narrated app. So just the dialogue and reading is, and it kind of has, it's set to music and stuff like that. So it's kind of got this really moody, dark theme. Mostly what it was just the story. This was one of those where you do have combat and you have social encounters that are resolved. Both of those are resolved through different decks of cards, and they're really interesting and fun. It's fun to like get those decks leveled up and to engage in some of those conflicts as you're playing through the game. But for me, the thing that just kept driving me forward and forward and forward with this was just the incredible story. And, you know, Nathan, you sometimes talk about how you love discovery and exploration.
Yeah.
I mean, this was just like amazing in terms of discovery and exploration. That's what this is, right? Every time you go to a new space, to a new card, to a new village, and I mean, you're running into interesting people and uncovering this narrative. There's side quests and different things you have to do. It also has an incredible system where different cards get swapped in and out. So as you affect the game in certain regions of Avalon, as you're going around and you're traveling and you affect the politics or the monsters or whatever is in that area, the effect that the weirdness is having on the world and all these things, the game sort of, quote, I can use my air quotes, it kind of remembers those things by changing the world. And then all of that culminates in how the end of the game plays out. So all the decisions that you make all along affect sort of the options you have to end the game and how that story ultimately plays out.
That sounds awesome.
And like you can pick so many different endings to this. And one of the things, like I kind of say like dark and gritty. I really mean it when I say that. Some games you say that, but it's like, okay, whatever. This really has like that very dark, very gritty, very grimdark, I guess is what a lot of people would call it, that real grimdark fantasy. And it works incredibly well for this setting and was very engaging and very well done. Good game.
This is one I'd like to try.
Me too. Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
The big Kickstarter for Kings of Ruin has shown up. It actually showed up a while back for me. I need to clear other games out of the way before I jump into that one. Yeah. There's also expansions for the original that I need to get into as well. So I've still got lots and lots and lots of that to play.
Do you mean before we jump into that?
That would be awesome. I would love that.
If we are going to do that, we need to get more of our other campaigns out of the way, which we need to do for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, my next game is the board cube of board games, and that is the Megabox Foundations of Rome. This is a great game. The table presence of this game alone is phenomenal, but the simplicity and the quickness that you can take this game out. Doug taught this to my wife, pulled it out at a SaltCon. She saw the box and quickly panicked.
She did. There was fear behind her eyes.
Yeah, because she very much judges the complexity of a game based on the size of the box. And so she was very scared to play, and Doug talked her off the ledge and got her to play, and she was able to pick up on it really quick because the mechanics and the processing of the game actually flows really well and is easy to learn. And then when you're starting to put the board together and you're playing your buildings out there, the table presence is amazing. And the challenge of the game is there. And so Foundations of Rome is a great, beautiful game that has accessibility all over it and provides some challenge, all key factors that make a game great for me. And Foundations of Rome made my number 10.
Wow. That's a surprising pick, actually.
It's awesome. You do break open that big box, but you just hand everybody their tray.
Yep.
You can teach it in 5 minutes, and everyone's like, oh, I got this. I mean, because basically on your turn, you are going to take some cash, buy a property, or place a building.
Yep.
And as long as you understand the building placement rules, that's it. And it's really snappy, really fun, and the production is phenomenal. It's really good.
Yeah, it really is.
Now, I will just make kind of as a side note here, there is Foundations of Metropolis that should be out. I believe it's out soon.
Yeah.
If it's not out already. And so for people who maybe are intimidated by the box size, that's an experience, I think, for people if they're wanting to just have basically the exact same game in a different box, in a smaller, more digestible box.
I want to say it's out because I want to say I have it somewhere around here. Maybe
If
I do,
it's not already
maybe I
out, it's out soon.
Yeah.
It'll be here quick. So just a side note, but that's a great pick. I really like Foundations of Rome.
Awesome. All right, that leads us to our number 9s. My number 9 is Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth. I think this would probably be up a little higher on my list, or lower. How are we saying that? It would be a lower number on my list if I had more plays of this in. I've played this a handful of times, and I have really enjoyed my time playing it. With the latest expansion that I got, which I got, probably over a year ago, and I haven't played it since, and I really, really want to bust that out with the expansion and give it another many plays through.
The Spreading War expansion.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And I want to try it so badly, and it's just one of those that I haven't played it enough to be confident enough to be like, okay, this is how we play, guys, because it's been too long since I've played, so we may have to have Doug reteach.
Yeah, no problem. I have probably 60 plays of this.
Yeah, it's a great
I
game.
can teach it.
That's
No
almost
problem.
as many as Nathan has of Gloomhaven.
Almost.
Wow, nice.
Almost.
Yeah. Well, we're probably going to hear about this game a little bit later on my list.
Yeah.
So foreshadowing. But this is one that me and my daughter played a ton of. Like our Sunday afternoons for a long time, we're just playing through Journeys in Middle-earth. And we had so much fun. And there's still, I think, one of the digital campaigns and maybe one of the box campaigns. Because there were each box, there was the core box and 2 expansions. Each box had a campaign, and then there was a digital campaign for each. I think I played through 4 or 5 of them. I think there's still one I haven't played.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Back when the last time I'd had a set 10 for 10, this was on there, and so I was able to go through that. So
Nice.
yeah, it's a great game.
It
I
is.
haven't played
It's
it
really
in a long time, but we need to get to the table. Yet
Yes.
another Fantasy Flight game that Fantasy Flight,
Abandoned.
yeah. So
Well,
it's done.
They said it's done. They were like, no, it's a complete story. This is what we set out to do. It's done. It's like, okay, sure.
Come up with a new story.
So let's tell more stories.
Yeah.
What are you doing, guys? The app on this is really good. And that's one of the things I will say, it was done super well. And because of that, I think it really enhances the game experience. One of those where you set a TV out or something like that, where everyone could look at it and read along, and stores all your equipment and stats and everything. It's great. I like it. That'll take us to my number 9. I'll just say this. I maybe don't have as much enthusiasm for some of the games that are on my 1 through 9 as I just did with Tainted Grail. But the fact that I can get some of these games played with other people, Tainted Grail is fantastic. And I think if I had played that with other people, it probably would have been higher on the list. The fact that I had to play it solo to get through it, though, it is a chink against it when I'm making a ranked list like this.
Right.
So the next one on my list is Primal, The Awakening, a game that I don't know if I like it quite as much as I like Tainted Grail, but the fact that I can sit down and play this with my son and that we can enjoy this together as a social thing that he and I can bond over and do just makes it all the better. So that's why it beats out a game like Tainted Grail. But Primal the Awakening, this is essentially just a big boss battler. You're like this tribe of warriors. You're on, I think it's Thyrea is the name of the island, planet kind of thing you're on. And basically it is just inhabited by these big, incredible monsters that they're kind of beautiful. Like there's a whole art book that comes with it. And I'm so glad I got it because sometimes I just pull it out and flip through it. And it's just like, these are amazing, like just big dragons and beasts of all kinds. But you are essentially out, and there is a story. You're trying to uncover kind of a mystery that's going on. But you go out, and each game is exactly the same. You play it on the same board. You put the monster down in the middle. There's 4 quadrants, and then the mechanics are, it takes 2 to 3 hours to have this big fight with the boss, and it's incredibly fun. It's all based on. It's kind of a deck builder. One of those like pre-constructed decks. So you go into a game with a deck that you've built based on how much XP you have and that kind of thing. And then you are playing out your cards in a row and trying to create as many synergies and combos as you can. And you're trying to work with your teammate to synergize with each other. Like, okay, you inflict vulnerable, and then I'll take advantage of it with a big hit, and we'll do double damage. You're trying to get these combos and stuff.
That's
rolling.
awesome.
So, but really, really fun boss battle game. Me and my son usually sit down and play this on Sundays. We're like 5 or 6 missions in on, I think what ends up being about a 13 game campaign.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
So we're almost halfway through, and it's been a ton of fun. Loved it.
Excellent. Apparently my games, when I focus on a game experience, I focus on fun. Not to say that Primal is not fun.
It's
but
way
anyway,
fun.
because we talked about zombie HeroScape Zombies earlier, and not HeroScape. Haha. We talked about Marvel Zombies earlier, and that's a very much large table present game, especially with Galactus. Thank you.
Yeah.
Especially with Galactus there.
One of these days you will get that right. Maybe.
I wouldn't hold your breath. But my games are, I prefer games that are accessible and fun. And not to say that those other games are fun, but my game is Draft and Write Records, which is a newer one.
Which is a really fun game.
Kind of sounds
It's
like
great.
you're trying to convince yourself.
No,
Yeah, I'm not sure where exactly you're going. These are all fun games.
Yeah. Doug just had this great big table presence game, and I mean, I guess Foundations of Rome had a great big presence too.
For sure.
But but to go from Primal to Draft and Write Records, very much we're tipping the spectrum quite a bit the other direction. But still, Draft and Write Records is a great drafting game, and I love the ability to chain your moves and to get your the cards you draft to explode onto other elements on your board, and to complete that story of your band trying to make it big in the world. And this is a game that lately I've been in a rut playing it. I've we played a game with Doug. We just finished a game not too long ago with you, Jody, and myself, and you guys were both like 170, and I was like
crazy.
67.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like my last two games of this.
Yeah, well, and that's what the one before that was very similar to that too. But that's what I like about the game is I mean, there is strategy in it. There is, trying to plan your explosions and trying to. Sometimes I've been in a run lately where I'm trying to complete my my band as quick as I can, because if you can complete your band, you're going to trigger the end game sooner, and hopefully you can do that before everybody else has done all their exploding everywhere else to give them all the points. And the last couple of times I've played, I'll advance the band really far, and then I can't fit somebody
finish
in.
it.
Yeah, I can't get that last
Yeah.
musician on my band. And
Well, the very last game that we played, because it's super explodey. You can just have like a burst where you just are comboing everything. It's just an explosion of stuff to do. And Jody must have really set himself up for one of those, this very last game that we just played, because I was beating you guys like 150 to, I don't know, you were both sub 100. And then the last round of the game got played, and I was in the lead. And then Jody jumped like 150 points in one round.
wow.
And totally roasted us on that one. It's crazy.
Yeah, Jody's figured out Awari too, so that's I'm no longer winning Awari anymore.
Time to switch it up.
Yeah, we're gonna play a different game. Find something else I can beat you at.
Something cooperative. Tired of this.
No, I love playing Awari because Cheryl decided she doesn't like that, so Jody's my Awari champion. So
I kind of get it. Awari didn't it didn't win me over either.
Yeah. But anyways, we're not talking about Awari. We're talking about Draft and Write Records.
Great game.
An amazing game.
It is.
Andy.
Right, that leads us to our number 8. My number 8 is The Pirates of Maracaibo.
Oh, I love this game.
I do too. It's such a good game. So this is Maracaibo, but more streamlined and faster.
Yep.
It is an all-around just stronger, better game than Maracaibo. So you're still making your journey to Maracaibo as on your pirate ships. You're landing on cards instead of on locations on the board. So the board's set up with cards that are laid down. And if you choose to interact or purchase that card, if you purchase it, it goes into your tableau and it gets replaced with it. So the board constantly changes. Or you can visit an island, and there are multiple things that you can do at the islands as well. But sometimes it ends up feeling like someone's trying to race to Maracaibo.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy because like, stop.
Enjoy the game. Savor the game.
I have things I need to do. Come on.
The only thing that I dislike, and it's not just like pirates, it's games like this in general that have like a rondelle or something that's going to trigger at the end of the game. Because you do occasionally play with people who are like, okay, I'm losing and I can't win. I don't see the strategy or whatever. And they're like, I'm done. So it's just, they just jump as far forward as they can, end it as fast as they can.
Yep.
That's the only thing that I sometimes I'm just like, ugh, like I wish there was just maybe a mechanic or a rule or something that like, it's like, hey, if you're done and you want to race to the end, fine. But the rest of us still get to take, our turns.
Yeah. Yeah, but also at the same point, when you're playing a regular game and somebody does get to the end, and
Yeah.
see, it is a balance. But yeah,
It is.
If somebody races, there needs to be wedgies at the end of the game.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe just house rule wedgies.
Yeah, that's a house rule I can get behind.
Hey,
And lift it up.
we finally found one Nathan will embrace.
Depends on who you're giving wedgies to.
Yeah.
I guess that's true.
Pirates of Maracaibo is one that we picked or we played with my daughters at BGG, not last year but the previous year, and as soon as it was my favorite game of the convention.
Yeah.
And I came back and I'm like, guys, I played this awesome game. Can we get it? And it was no. Can we get it yet? No. Can we get it yet? Is it out yet? No. Finally we were able to get a copy, and yeah, it was a hit with the group as well. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when you started to talk about Pirates of Maracaibo, I wanted to say it was like Maracaibo, but fun. But I love Maracaibo, so I couldn't say it.
Yeah.
But it's like Maracaibo, but funner.
Yeah, it is
Funner.
funner.
There you go.
Yeah.
Funner. I concur. That's fantastic. My number 8, another big table presence game. This is Chronicles of Drunagor, Age of Darkness. I love this game, and I can't wait to teach it to you guys and play it. I know that you guys are going to like this game too. This is a big, sprawling dungeon crawl game. It has like 30, 40 different characters you can pick from, all with tons of unique abilities and class stuff and armor and weapons. It's very D&D-ish that way. It's an action cube game, so you get a pool of action cubes, and you're going to use those cubes to trigger actions and do stuff on your turn. It's got a fantastic story. 2 really notable things about this that I'll just point out real quick, because I could talk about this one for a long time, but 2 things of note. 1, it implements the game trays to create 3D terrain.
No kidding.
So you have these different leveled trays, and the maps and cardboard pieces sit out in such a way that every time you play on the map, you've got 3D terrain. And there are rules, like for example, if you're shooting a bow from the high ground, you do extra damage, or if you're swinging a sword at somebody who is up on the top of a cliff, you have a penalty to whether or not you're going to hit, that kind of thing, right? So it has a lot of really cool terrain rules, and it just, the table presence on it when it's all laid out just looks super fun, and it's just like, yes, I want to go explore all of that.
Multi-purpose game trays. I love it. That's a great idea.
It's really cool. So the 3D terrain is super awesome. The other thing that I'll make note of is just there, all along each one of the dungeons that you go through, there are points of interest, and when you interact with them, you pull out a big book, and it has like these really awesome illustrated images that have numbers on them. And you get to, so it's kind of like a choose your own adventure sort of thing that way. It's like, you come across a desk, and it has drawers and stuff sitting on top of it, and a locked chest next to it, and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, what do you choose? Like in the limited time that you have, what do you grab? What do you attempt? What do you do? You make a decision. You get to do something or gain something, or it'll trigger a trap, or whatever may happen, and then you move on. So it's kind of cool that way. I think each point of interest can be interacted with twice, but just the way you pull out that book and use it to sort of engage in the story, I think is really, really fun.
No, that sounds awesome.
I think this is a game you guys will both really like when we get around to playing it.
I think you're right.
I think so too. Just looking at some pictures, that's awesome. Are the miniatures pre-painted, or
No.
these pictures all of people who've painted theirs?
They've painted theirs.
Oh, I guess 'cause they look pretty stunning.
Yeah, they are very cool.
Awesome. I am anxious to try that one out too. Now, is this a campaign, or is this like a one-off?
It's definitely a campaign.
Okay.
And there are multiple campaigns.
Nice. All right, Nathan, that leads to your number 8.
All right, we go from another Epic game to another Nathan game.
Do we?
We do, but it's one we've actually already talked about, and that is Marvel Zombies. And I don't know if I need to go more into it, except for Marvel Zombies is phenomenal. And I've loved this because every rendition that we've played of Zombicide has gotten increasingly more attractive to me. I've very much enjoyed, we played the second edition, and we played the Presidents, and that was our first experience to Zombicide, and that experience was a blast.
It was a lot of fun.
And
so fun.
yeah, I loved that. And then Marvel theme is very much something that appeals to me. So I'm Andy, you and I were talking about this the other day, and I enjoy DC, but I don't have the love for DC that like Doug does.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I'm hoping that that progression of my love for Zombicide will spill over and be increased even further with Deceased. But currently, Marvel
will.
Zombicide.
I'm calling it now.
You're
It will.
saying it now. But currently, Marvel Zombicide is my Zombicide apex right now. That is, I love it. It's a great game.
It really is its own amazing game. Good pick. All right, so my number 7. We are down to number 7. Mine is The Taverns of Tiefenthal. This is a game that I picked up not knowing anything about it. It just kind of looked cool, and it has turned into one of my favorites. So you are tavern owners, and it's a deck builder, but it's also you're upgrading your tavern to make your actions more efficient. It's dice placement. You're placing your dice to take actions in your tavern, and you're bringing in guests, but your ultimate goal is to attract the nobles to your tavern. When you gain noble cards, they are worth 10 points at the end of the game, which is by far the best way to score points. And I thoroughly enjoy the layers of strategy and ways that you can score points, ways that you can get the nobles, different paths to gain the cards that you want. And it's just an awesome game. I like the fact that it's they slowly introduce. It's kind of has the Jaws of the Lion feel in a much lighter way. You start out small, and it introduces the key concepts of the game, and then it just builds and builds and builds until you get to I think it's like the 5th game in, and you completely unlock everything in the game so that you don't get overwhelmed. Now, I think that's great for people that maybe aren't experienced gamers.
I think it was good for the first wave of people who played this game, because now if you play it with somebody who knows how to play it, this is just one where I say the more modules, the better.
Yeah.
Honestly,
for sure. I agree.
And with the expansion with more modules. And if you haven't played it, but you're playing with somebody who can teach it and teach those modules at the same time, I say just go for it.
100% agree.
That's my opinion.
Yep.
I say just jump in.
Yeah, if you've got people that can grasp that concept, and you, like Doug said, if you have someone that can teach it properly, 100%. We never play without all of the modules, at least in the base game.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll play without the expansion, but we always play with everything in the base game. But this game is a ton of fun. We've had just some really fun plays with it, and some people that haven't liked it so much as others. But it is one of those that I have a firm love for.
I've noticed that you like your mixology games.
Mixology.
Yeah, where you're making drinks. Like Distilled was one that I had that you pulled it right off the shelf one day, and I want to play this one. And
you'd think that I was a drinker, huh?
Potion Explosion.
Since I've never had alcohol in my life, and you'd think that Andy,
you would think much different. Yeah,
Andy likes to mix drinks.
Potion Explosion, Alchemists.
Yeah.
I actually have, and I have a couple. I have actually the Potions of Azurland Kickstarter that just showed up this week at my house too. Yeah, maybe so.
Chemical Overload.
Chemical
You're
Overload.
right. Andy kind of has like a potions and drinking.
Mad scientist. Well, he's got the mad part for sure.
Mad scientist for sure.
No doubt.
Yeah.
We got to work on the scientist. That's a good pick, Andy.
Yeah, very good. We're on number 7, right?
Yes.
Okay,
sir.
so a game that we don't need to talk about very much because we've already talked about it. It was Andy's number 14. It's my number 7, and I have a feeling we're going to talk about it again when Nathan gets to it on his list, and that is Star Wars Imperial Assault. And like I said, I don't think much more needs to be said about this. This is just an absolutely fantastic Star Wars game. It's a dungeon crawl. I think my personal opinion is it's best when you play, one person plays the Imperials and then the rest of the players plays the Rebels.
For sure.
But this is, I think, the Star Wars game to play. I absolutely love it.
Yes. No, you're preaching to the choir.
You
And and many fun nights were had playing this game at my house.
Yes, for sure.
awesome.
Well, my number 7 is a game that I've been recently introduced to, and I am playing this every chance I get, and that is Dinogenics. Dinogenics has been an amazing introduction for me, and I think currently on BGA I'm playing. I think I have 4 games currently going. I have one with you, Doug. I have one with you, Doug and Richie. I have one with Corey, and I have one with Mike, and those just keep going and going, and
they need to get Controlled Chaos though. I mean, don't get me wrong, like the base game of Dinogenics is very good.
Yeah,
it is very good, but Controlled Chaos adds so much funness to the game.
Yeah, and that's what we played with the first time we played, right?
At the table.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and and I'm just the whole feel. I mean, I think as far as the dinosaur games that I've played so far, this grasps that I'm creating dinosaurs. I'm running my park. My dinosaurs escape and break and eat my patrons, and that causes scandals. And there's so much about this that just fires on all cylinders for me, and I very much. It's a new game, but it has very much currently very much deserves my number 7 spot on my top 30.
Awesome.
I love this. I love this because I have been like a Dinogenics evangelical for years.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're one of my converts. So it's awesome. I absolutely love it. Welcome to the club, Nathan.
Yeah.
Dinogenics is awesome.
Quickly leading the club.
Yeah. It was my number 30. So I you like it more than I do apparently at this point.
Well, you have more experience.
But I have more experience with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yep, it's fallen a little bit, but it's
for
still,
me, it's new. It's
still
shiny,
a top 30 game.
Amazing.
Yep. That's awesome. I love it. Great pick.
All right. Number 6. My number 6 pick is the Shadows of Brimstone. This has to be my top 10 because I've spent so much dang money on it.
Is that a requirement? I guess that's why my number 1 is number 1.
Yeah, probably. No, your number 1 is number 1 because it's great. But
yeah. No, I love Shadows of Brimstone. We've had some really fun, epic plays of this game. In fact, our regular group of Shadows of Brimstone is getting together this Friday, which it's been, my goodness, months since we've gotten together, actually since the summer. So I'm really excited to get Shadows of Brimstone to the table again. I kind of have a convert to this game too. Our friend Brian Hirschbach, he played it and he went through all the rules before we played, hadn't bought anything, and now he probably has more than I do.
Yeah.
So
love it.
Yeah, this is one that we have a group of 5 of us that get together and play this semi-regularly. It used to be more regular. Hopefully it becomes more regular again, but we are just going through with the same characters, trying to get ourselves completely leveled up, which is one thing that seems to never happen with games like this, is you never really finish. There's a ton of quests, and the nice thing about Shadows of Brimstone is, it's kind of campaign. You get to keep the same characters if you want and level up, but there's not a rigid
storyline.
Well, there kind of is to a point, but they're really mostly just one-off quests that you're going through, and you can pick and choose what you want to do, and almost every single expansion comes with a quest of some sort, if it's an enemy pack, or the regular big box expansions. So there's just tons of content, tons of scenarios to play, a lot of different heroes, just what feels like millions of monsters that I don't even have all of them, and I have a ton of miniatures for
an entire crate.
Yeah. And so
and I don't think it even holds all of them.
It doesn't. And the fact that it makes the replayability of this a lot higher for me, because it changes every single time. You don't face the same things every single time. You're fighting enemies that there's some monsters that I haven't yet fought that I've had in my collection for over a year, and I still haven't drawn the card to fight them. So when I get a chance to fight those, it adds to that excitement and that level of enjoyment, because it's new, it's fresh, and because there's so much content, I think that makes that available to happen. And it's just a great game.
It is a lot of fun. I don't know at what point a game gets too big for its own britches, but
they're getting close. I
was going to say this one's got to be getting close, because there is so much to this. I just love the diversity in themes that they've integrated into this.
Yeah.
It started off as like cowboys and Cthulhu, and now it's like cowboys, ancient Asia, Norse, Vikings, you name it, versus Cthulhu versus demons versus whatever. It's just kind of a like all in one. It's a melting pot of everything.
Well, and that's kind of the cool part, is you go through portals, and you're in the Old West, you go through a portal, and now you're in the future where you're fighting, there's been nuclear fallout and everything else, and then you jump to another one, and you're
in ancient Japan, feudal Japan.
Yeah. Or you're in this fire cavern, or swamps. And yeah, there's just, the variety's just huge and exciting. And every world has its own rules and stuff you have to worry about. So it's a fun game.
Excellent.
You have a twitch, Nathan.
Do I?
In your eye.
Yeah. Probably should eat more candy.
I just thought you were winking at me.
Yeah.
Oh, bummer. Alrighty. Well, that will take us to, we're on 5, right? I keep losing track of the, no,
You're
no,
on
6. We're on 6. Okay.
6.
6. Okay. My number 6 was Andy's number 9. This is Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth. And for reasons that I already kind of talked about, mostly because my daughter and I just spent so much time playing this and had such a great time. When I first got my 3D printer, I went and made a bunch of custom 3D terrain for this game too. So
That's cool.
I have like a pretty tricked out version of this. I have all the content and everything. We have a good setup and all that. And so it's just a ton of fun. It's so thematic. We've had just crazy amounts of great time playing it. And I just think it's a great game.
I think it's amazing looking at our top 10, at least mine in particular. I know some of Doug's seem to fall in this with that explanation, Doug.
You just leave me right out of that?
And maybe.
All right.
We'll find out. You can correct me if I'm wrong on this.
You're
Well,
probably not.
I probably
I know where
am.
you're going.
I probably am wrong on this. It's probably all three of us probably are basing our top 10 based on memories and
for
experiences, right?
Yeah.
It's those memories that were created that not necessarily always the game, but the memories we have of playing those games that are really bringing those to the top of our list of, okay, yeah, I love this game because of my memories and my experiences playing it.
Absolutely. Yep. And that definitely plays a huge part in my love for this. That's why it's number 6. Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth.
All right. Mine, number 6, is a bigger game. This is Voidfall. Voidfall is fairly new. We've played it a few times, and this is one that I'm very anxious to experience more. I like this game. I don't know if it's going to stay my number 6, but I'm very anxious to get this played again and again because it does have such a barrier of introduction that it just is one that if we're going to play it and we're going to keep it, it needs to be played more often. But what I do like about it is that it is they're one-offs, right? It's not a campaign, which most of these big epic games are, but this is just a one-off. So it has variety, so you can play for more aggressive games, you can play for more cooperative, or not necessarily cooperative, but more friendly games, and you can put in that balance. I'm very anxious to give each of those kind of a try and experience this game even more.
Yeah, because it has potential to be like we've only scratched the surface of it.
Yes.
It has potential to be much better in some ways, and it has potential to possibly be worse in others. And I feel like we have to keep playing it to figure that out.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. This is a good game. I like it. I am surprised it's this high.
I am too.
Like for you.
It's the newness, right? And
100%. Yeah, and I get that. Like, and I think of all of us, you are a little more prone to the cult of the new, the flashy new thing. But I'm not saying I'm not saying it shouldn't be on your list at number 6.
Yeah.
Like this is a really fun game. I think all of us have really enjoyed it. I do want to play this some more.
Yeah. And that's why when we first started, this is our top 30
Currently.
For now. Yeah. We'll see what happens next year.
Definitely valid opportunities for change. Yeah.
Definitely. All right, we are halfway through our list. We're at number 5. Number 5 for me is the Castles of Burgundy.
Oh, this is a good game.
This is one that I've always enjoyed. It's always been up there on my list, but when that deluxe copy came out and we really started playing, and it came with a lot more maps and all of the expansions that I didn't have, and it has jumped up my list very, very quickly. My level of enjoyment of playing this game has gone way up. I've had a lot of fun teaching it to quite a few people, and it is one of those that is an eye catcher. People, when we've played this at the conventions, people walk by and like, oh my gosh, look at that game looks amazing, and it is. That's because number one, it looks amazing, but it is so much fun to play. And honestly, this is one that I was able to teach Cheryl at MonCon, and it was one that I was really happy that Amar convinced her to try.
Yeah.
And
another one that she got scared by the size of the game.
Yeah. But she ended up having a good time and enjoying the game. In fact, she asked you if you owned it and seemed excited because she thought you probably did.
Yeah. And probably still should not go back and pick it up.
Every time we talk about it.
I know it that whole desire to play that. And I mean, Doug brought over Thunder
Thunder Road Vendetta.
Thunder Road Vendetta, and it's the same thing. We had a blast with that game.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
Nathan's over there like, I need to buy it. We're like
Yeah,
not
where
even
do I
halfway
get-
through the game, and he's over there on his phone like trying to find a copy of it. He's like Nathan, it's right here. You just played this one.
But you're gonna take it home, Doug.
But I can bring it back. It's like a friend, Nathan. You can come and go, and it's okay.
Awesome. Well, that is
But
my
yeah,
number
Castles
5.
of Burgundy, great game.
Yeah, we've had good times with that one.
Yeah, definitely. I was just looking at my stats. I've played this 30 times. Most of those have been online on BGA. I think I'm a little burned out on this one for BGA. But man, anytime you want to bust out that nice deluxe edition that you have, I'm game. I think that is just so much fun to play.
I'm not sure what this burnout is that you talk about.
Sorry,
I'm
Nathan.
yet to feel that.
It's the repercussions of playing online board games.
No, I don't think so.
It is. Every time
a little bit.
every time I've heard someone or Doug say that, that's why it's been the case.
I think just Doug just gets whiny sometimes.
Wow. Wow. You guys
He
realize
just gets tired of beating me. That's what it is.
I hope most people understand that, like, when it comes to the whole playing online games, Nathan and Andy are polar opposites, right?
Polar
opposites. I mean, Andy is don't touch them, and Nathan is like play as many of them as you can possibly play all the time, all day.
Yeah.
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
And,
Don't stop.
and my rather moderate, in the middle, usually where the truth lies voice gets
Where the truth lies.
I get hammered from both of you because I'm not close to the extremes on either side.
You can't say the
I'm
truth
just-
lies without lies.
I'm just somewhere in the middle, guys. The truth lies without lies. Nice, Nathan. Nice. I don't have any problem with online games, but I do think they have their limits for sure.
I'm at 30 plays too. Probably a majority of those are online as well.
Nice.
Wow. I'm not at that many.
Somebody's got issues.
Yep, you do. All right, we're at number 5 for Doug.
I have issues with collecting everything for my number 5, and that is Marvel Champions, the LCG or the card game. I don't even know if Fantasy Flight is still using the living card game thing.
I think they dropped that
they
post-COVID.
I mean, they patented it. That was something they were very proud of for a long time, and I still hear people using that phrase, but I think they just call them the card game now.
Yeah.
But Marvel Champions, the card game, absolutely wonderful. I love the system. I was really excited that I got to teach this to you guys, at least the base box, which I remember when that came out, I was quite enamored by it.
Yeah,
But
I was too.
After having all of the cards and all of the expansions and all of the heroes that you have now, going back and just teaching that base box was pretty dry.
Yeah.
Relative to the experience that you can have now with all of this stuff. But this just, more than any other superhero game at all that I've ever played, this just really makes you feel like you are a unique version of the hero that you like to play.
Yeah, I really like that.
And it's not even like the designers have said, this is how you play Iron Man, right? They've given you Iron Man and a few cards that always go in his deck, and then you can pick. You build the deck you want to play. You build how you want to play Iron Man, right? And they have all the different aspects. You know, it's like, I want to be a Justice Iron Man, and I'm going to include all these cards, and I'm going to aim for this style of play, and you can customize each deck really, really well. Also, there are just so many great enemies to go against. And they've introduced expansions that tell stories and let you upgrade. You get like upgrades and things along the way. And each campaign's a little different. Like they all handle that a little different. Some of them have upgrades that you get automatically. Some of them have markets that you can sort of buy from in between missions, that sort of thing. But this game, I think, was where they nailed it was with the core design. The core design of the game is phenomenal. And then they've just really made it a fun experience to build a hero and go fight bad guys.
Yeah. And I love the balance that they do between the alter ego and the
100%.
and the regular persona.
Yep.
And going from Peter Parker to Spider-Man or from Bruce Banner to the Hulk, it's just being able to do that and have those situations adapt to that, where you're either progressing the fight against the villain or the scheme. And if you, depending on which form you're in, very well done. This is a game that I had a ton of when it first came out. I was all in, mostly because it was Marvel, but I just wasn't getting anybody to play it with. So I stopped getting it. I still have a bulk of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really fun to get that to the table in BGG and kind of get a little bit of a fire reignited. And I mean, I would love to get out and get some of those deeper characters and give them to the table. So
Me too.
yeah,
That and the
It's
deck
good
building,
times.
the deck building aspect of it obviously is going to be greater with the more cards you have because we basically used everything in that base box.
In that
at
base
BGG.
box, yeah. And now there's like, I mean, I have, one of those art boxes that you can convert with the kit and everything like that. I mean, I've got like 2 of those full of cards
yeah.
that you can use to deck build with. So, I mean, the options are just endless.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be great. I would love to try that with a different character. I played She-Hulk and she was fun, but
Yeah, she's not
she's not the Hulk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not quite the same. And I probably should just pull this up just so, because we've been talking about plays and memories and some of that kind of stuff. I should just pull this up. I'm looking it up on my phone right now because I think I have over 200 plays of this.
Oh wow.
Oh, no kidding?
Yeah,
Wow.
if I can find it, it's buried somewhere in here.
Real plays?
Yeah, real plays.
Wow.
They're all at the table. Oh, not quite 200.
Are you going to complain that solo is not real too?
No, that's real. It's
Is
at the
that
table.
real?
Yeah.
183 plays.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
and
amazing.
probably about half of those are with people. And I definitely play it solo a lot, but like that, I've played it a lot with people as well. So
Yeah.
For the record, Nathan, I don't complain. I only speak the truth.
Your truth sounds a lot like whiny complaining to me. All right, my number 5 is another game that is new to me that I just can't get enough of. It's shiny, it's like gold in my hand, and that is River of Gold. This is a game based in the L5R universe, and as I was teaching it at BGG, we had several people who would stop and recognize the art, and they're like, "What are you playing?" And they're like, "Oh, River of Gold." Oh, it looks a lot like
Yeah.
L5R.
like tons of people. Like,
Yeah.
you're not just making that up. There
No,
were
yeah.
a lot of people who
Yeah, there's
stopped.
probably at least 12
Like,
people.
Oh, so what? Are you playing L5R?
Yeah.
What? Oh, this doesn't. Yeah. What? I
this
mean, like
doesn't
these
work.
like confused, kind of
Yeah.
weird, like sometimes even kind of strange people that were just stopping at our table at random. Yep.
Yeah, but I love this. There's the river in the middle, the River of Gold, and you're trying to take your 2 ships up there, and you're making stops at locations. Each stop has 4 endpoints or 4 corners. I guess they're not really corners, but 4 points that are going to earn you money or goods or reputation in different areas, victory points. And you're trying to focus your movement so that you can take advantage of those. You're trying to gain influence. You're trying to make sales. You're trying to build buildings so that when other people come to those locations, you're getting some residual benefits. Just this game, I am just eating up. And this is another one that BGA has a great implementation. And I'm playing 3 different instances of this game as well, just because this is one that I'm just anxious to play all the time. And so this Dinogenics right there, hand in hand, the new gold for me, and I keep bringing in gold for River of Gold, but it's
So,
like gold.
so this is on BGA. You are playing this on BGA.
Yeah, I'm playing it on BGA. I've played it here. I've played it at BGG Con. I'm playing it
Haven't
any chance
invited
I
me
get.
to a single game.
That's because I'm waiting for Jody and Corey and I to finish this next game, and then it's going to be a 4-player game with
Okay.
because
All
as
right.
much as I say give me more games, it's when the game's a little bit more complex. Like I'm running the same issues with Dinogenics too, but when it's a little bit more complex, trying to keep straight what's going
multiple
on.
games are.
Yeah.
That is tough.
Yeah, and so I think I'm trying to condense River of Gold to a higher player count, fewer instances, and
Yeah.
So, but River of Gold's a great game.
Yeah.
Very much.
I mean,
enjoy it.
I've only played it once, just our one time at BGG Con, and I'd love to play it again.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I really liked it. This is very good.
excellent game.
All right. That brings us to our number 4. My number 4 is Dead Reckoning.
It's a good game too.
This is one I picked up a couple years ago. It was a Kickstarter, and it is a card crafter game. So John DeClaire is the designer for Mystic Vale and for, is it Empires of the Void?
No,
No, what is it?
It's
what's
right
it
there.
called?
It's that big box. Edge of Darkness, yeah.
and for Edge of Darkness. I think as far as his card crafter games go, this is by far his strongest one. Easily his strongest one. So you are going out, you're exploring, you're finding islands. There's some area control involved, which normally I don't care for so much. So it's kind of surprising that this is number 4 on my list, that a game with a significant amount of area control. But it is a one where it's understandable and not necessarily terrible that you lose control of an island, because it allows you to gain control back and add that permanent influence marker on another permanent influence marker on that island, which is one of the goals that you're trying to complete. You're trying to get as many of those permanent influence markers as you can, on top of a bunch of other goals that you're trying to do throughout the game. And all the while you are upgrading your crew. You are leveling them up, which is just you're flipping the card that's in the sleeve itself, but you can also add the transparencies. The card crafting part of it comes into play, where you can purchase the advancements that are out on the board and then add those to your crew members and really get some synergy going with the abilities that you're applying to them, and along with the abilities that they have printed on their cards. This is just one of the games that you can play as a one-off. There are several campaigns they've come out with that we've started but haven't. I think we've only played one game of the campaign, maybe 2. But it's honestly, it works great as just a one-off. We've had a ton of fun with this, and you can't beat the battle where you're dropping cubes down that kind of dice tower ship where they kick out the side like a broadside cannon, and your cubes come flying out, and where they land, that's how you determine who wins or what happens in the battle. And the fact that you can lose a battle but still come out more wealthy than you did coming in, as long as you didn't get sunk. You can get barrels, you can get coins, even though you may have lost the battle. This is an awesome game.
You nailed it when you say it's probably one of John Clare's best, because I mean the way you card craft your characters, and I love that your hand doesn't get bigger, it's just your hand gets better.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, such a great game.
I agree. I haven't played a lot of John DeClaire stuff. He's kind of known for this card crafting system. I think I played one game. Is it Mystic Vale?
Yeah.
That's
yes,
his?
Mystic Vale.
Yeah. So, and that one was okay. I mean, I only played it the one time, and I remember it was like good but not great. Maybe there's more to it than that, but anyway. But having played Dead Reckoning and being familiar with the quality of card crafting game that he can come up with, that was the whole reason I went and backed Unstoppable by Renegade Game Studios, because that is his next card crafting game. And I was like, I'm not going to miss out on another John DeClaire card crafter after Dead Reckoning. So yeah, I agree. This is a really good game.
And Unstoppable's two-player game. So
is it a 2-player only?
Yeah. Okay. We've been playing a lot of those lately, though.
Yeah, we've been able to get more of them to the table.
Yeah,
a few more. So we'll see. We'll see how good it is.
Excellent.
So that'll take us to my number 4. My number 4 is Cthulhu: Death May Die.
Awesome.
Such a great game.
This is one I need to play more.
Yeah. It's so good.
You got all the good games, apparently.
I do have a lot of good games. I don't know if I have all the good games, but I definitely have some good ones. This is one of them. I love Cthulhu: Death May Die. This one just has that really unique leveling up system where you're rolling the dice, and as the game is progressing, you are kind of going more and more insane. But you need to go insane and hit those little nodes along the insanity track in order to level up. So the closer and closer to death you get, the more powerful your character is, and it usually leads to just these epic, amazing cinematic finishes to the game. One of the things that I love about this is that it does play in episodes, but they're not like a linked together story. There's not a campaign. You can just play through the episodes. It doesn't hit you with the whole wall of narrative and text and everything. It just gives you enough to set up a unique map with unique rules and unique monsters, and then you just go. It's enough to set it up. There's a little like paragraph of story that kind of tells you what you're trying to do there. Each scenario comes with a couple special things that you can do that make it unique, and you just go. And actually just this week, the Wave 2, the Fear of the Unknown stuff, it just showed up on my doorstep.
Oh, did it? Nice.
And I was super excited because I missed the first Kickstarter of this, so the stuff I bought was all retail stuff. So this came with all of the Wave 1 Kickstarter exclusive stuff.
Oh, no kidding.
So now I've got even more Elder Gods to fight, and
awesome.
More investigators to play, and more terrain, and more episodes, and more plastic. It's awesome.
I love when they do that, when they run another campaign and allow players who maybe missed out the first time but have learned to love the game can come back and get the Kickstarter.
Yeah, I wish
stuff.
more games. I miss. I don't know. I don't want to get off.
There's
on my,
a whole rabbit hole. We shouldn't go down
Yeah.
it. Basically, we here at Meeple Nation are of the strong opinion that Kickstarter exclusives suck.
Indeed.
We have a hard time with CMON in particular because this is something that they do. But if you are gonna have Kickstarter exclusives, at least reprint them in the future.
Yes.
Definitely.
But Cthulhu Death May Die, and again, one that I've played a ton of, one that we have had so many fun memories playing. And it comes down to the people and it comes down to the plays. And there are a lot of stories that I could tell about how awesome and cinematic this is, but just those photo finish ends that sometimes go your way and honestly sometimes don't.
Yeah, and it seems like it always ends up that way. Like almost like every game I've played, it has been that way.
Yep.
And it's been very fun.
Yeah.
Very good. My number 4, Cthulhu Death May Die.
All right, Nathan, number 4.
Number 4 for me.
I almost don't want you to talk about this one yet because this one is on everyone's list.
Yeah, it is.
Is it on? Oh, yeah.
But if he doesn't talk about it now, I'm talking about it next. So because it's my number 3.
And then if you don't talk about it, then I'll talk about it because it's my number 2. We just get this one out of the way because
Let's just do it.
It's Nathan's number 4, it's Andy's number 3, and it's my number 2.
And that is Oathsworn Into the Deepwood. This game is you talk about the narrative of Tainted Grail, the narrative, the narration, not the narrative. The narration of this game is so well done, and you have the game is played in 2 scenes where you're exploring the city, you're trying to do the story part, and then that story comes to a climax with the big boss fight. And this game definitely puts big in the big boss fight. Battle is great. The shifting, what do they call that mechanic?
The battle flow system.
The battle flow is just done so well, and all the little touches, right? Where you have your character, if your character changes weapons, you can pull off their arm and put on the new arm that's carrying the new weapon.
Love that. Yep.
It's so well done, and there's so much about this game I love, and I wish we could find the time, wish we could make the time to get this finished.
This is one that I feel like is kind of the whole package as far as games like this. I don't know if I've ever played a narrative style game like this that gets me more immersed into it. I think, like you said, Nathan, the story is so well done that by the time that big boss battle comes around, like it actually has meaning. Like you're 100% vested because the story has built up to this. And it is one of those where it's not just, okay, it's dudes on a map and we're fighting. This is like, we're telling the story real time here of what's happening. And it is so well done. And like Nathan said, the plastic's amazing. The 3D terrain pieces that you have, Doug, with this, the houses and the trees and everything.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. And I love picking them up and chucking them as the warbear. It's also awesome.
Yes.
It's great that you can pick up the house and just throw it.
Yeah, it's great.
Love that. Yep, the warbear has an ability where they can literally just topple things over on enemies, and it's fantastic. I love this game. Sorry, go ahead, Nathan.
I just want to. So, is this game the Nathan? Is that what you're saying? It's the complete package.
It is. We should probably just start calling it Nathan.
Oh boy,
Nathan Into the Deepwood.
Into the Deepwood.
It's the whole package. Wow.
I've always thought of you as the whole package, Nathan.
Thanks, my ego needs that. What little ego I have.
I'm surprisingly on board with this. So, now for all of the reasons that you just said, I mean, you can tell they hired professional writers for the narration.
Yeah.
The way that it's read is fantastic. The app works really good, and I also love that the story part isn't it doesn't overstay its welcome. Like I think there was one of them that we've played that was maybe a little longer. Like I think it went like 45 minutes, maybe even just a touch longer. It was really interesting. You could tell they were setting up a lot of stuff. And so it worked. For the most part, you're 20 to 30 minutes for the story section, and then you're going to jump into this really great, big boss fight.
Yeah. Well, and part of it, with the narrative part of it, not only that, you are spending time going to places in the town to try to prepare for that boss fight on top of it, right?
Right.
You need to purchase stuff, you need, whatever, right?
Yep.
So, there's more to it than just going through and telling a story. You're also trying to, there's a a risk reward aspect to it where, okay, am I going to waste a little bit of time going here instead of driving the story? Because there are benefits to finishing that quickly. And no, I think they covered their bases on a lot of parts of that narrative that I normally would be the more boring part of it, but it really isn't at all. It's just they nailed it, I think.
Yep. Yeah, and it has a fun choose your own adventure thing there too, where so you're very it doesn't have you on rails, right? You're making choices.
Yeah.
And that's also, I think, important to note. But yeah, Oath Sworn into the Deepwood. Nathan, what a great number 4.
Great number 4, and it's my number 3. And we're number 3 now. Mine is Nathan into the Deepwood.
That's great. So, yep, your number 3. My number 3 is Etherfields. And I've gushed about this game. I've talked about it so much previously. If you haven't heard me talk about this before on the podcast, just know that this is a game that is absolutely near and dear to my heart. This was my first Kickstarter. So this is like the first game that I backed and went all in on. I got the washed, the sun-dropped minis and all of it, went all in. It showed up and man, that rule book was so disappointing.
Yeah, it really was.
And it was really, but I was so determined. And I was just like, nope, I'm going to figure this out. So I started hitting forums and like really trying to make sure that I understood the nuts and bolts of the game. And I have to tell you, it's so unfortunate that rule book wasn't better, because hidden behind that kind of rough rule book is honestly one of just the absolute best narrative game experiences you can have. It's so unique and so weird. This whole concept of, it's like a dungeon crawl, but it's a dream crawl. You're in these dreams, which means weird, dreamy like things can happen.
Manipulation
And
all over the place.
Tons of manipulation. But the way that they did, because the map is formed out of those square cards, and the way that they did those, where they can be swapped out, they can be flipped, new rules can be, brought into them, the way they can be overlaid upon each other in like, not even like lined up on a grid, right? They can be like kind of haphazardly laid upon each other in ways that you make the art match to solve certain puzzles, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And as this game went, the deck building became incredibly fun. You became really powerful. Like I was able to like draw a lot of cards and play a lot of stuff and do a lot of things. The two players, the two characters that I was controlling really had a lot of synergy with each other. The story was like, I thought that it was really fascinating. It's very dreamlike. It's very vague. It does allow the players to fill in their own gaps and draw their own conclusions in certain parts, that kind of thing. But I think that's what I loved about it. It really went out on a limb to try something totally unique and totally different. And I thought that it was very successful. You do have to get over the hurdle of the rule book. And I 100% acknowledge that. But this was just one of the best gaming experiences I've ever had. It was so good.
I wish we could say we had the same experience with Etherfields, but the drawback was the rule book for us.
Right.
And we just didn't have I didn't have the time or patience to go on forums and really dive into it. This is when I own a copy of this too. I have everything. It's one that I tried to start playing solo as well. And it just sat there and collected dust because I don't have time to do it. But one I want to try it. And I've heard you rave about it. It's one that one more campaign game that is on the pile that I really want to play. And I'm afraid it won't be.
That it's just not
well,
going
I feel like the game has the potential to be a little divisive. I fully recognize that. I think there's going to be people out there who, even with a full rules understanding, it's just not going to be quite to their liking. The deck building and card play, I think, is really fun. But you're essentially going to different nodes you have to discard cards or execute different, combos of cards in order to meet requirements. And then you get to read whatever the narration is that you just unlocked. And then the story kind of progresses and you introduce new cards and the story unfolds and stuff as you go through these mechanisms. One thing that I think I would like to do though is just sit down and we'll go through like the first scenario, do a really good solid play of the first dream and slumber.
Yeah.
And just see if it catches you guys. You know what I mean? Like just see if it's like, okay, I actually feel like the game it's going to set its hooks really early or it's not going to set them at all.
Yeah.
And I think it'll set its hooks in me. I played through the first dream and slumber solo and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I think it's one that I will like. It's just one that playing it solo, I don't have a lot of ambition to play games solo.
Sure.
So
totally get that.
it was really easy to just let it sit there.
Yeah.
And then it had to get moved because game night and it ended up on a small card table, and I finally like it's collecting dust. I got to put it away so I don't ruin the game.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I get that.
It's
I
tough
feel
one,
your pain.
but it's my number 3 because I had such a great time playing it. So.
I do like how the cards, they don't get placed like orthogonally, or they don't line up, because it is the dream world.
Yeah.
And stuff just gets manipulated. That was for me.
But
It was cool.
But like the dreamscape, right? The art and just the the whole environment that is able to create, it's unparalleled. There's no other game that has done it that well. There's no other game that I think has really done it at all that I'm aware of. To that level and to that extent. Because not only are you putting that dreamscape together, but then you like step back and look at it and you're just like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, this is a beautiful piece of art. You know what I mean?
And you thought it was beautiful before you started doing it, and then you start to manipulate it, and you're like, wow.
yeah, it's cool.
They
And the miniatures
so well.
the miniatures are like amazing and very bizarre.
Yeah.
It also has a mechanic that I actually really like. The art, there are little features in the art, and if you notice them, they unlock additional things. You have to be paying attention. Comes in a couple of different forms. Some missions have specific pieces where if you can notice them and if you find them, like almost like a Where's Waldo kind of thing, you can read some additional story and unlock some stuff. There's also, every character has a little tray of these little triangular art pieces. And if you can match them up, they will come up in a level. They'll come up in cards. They'll come up in something somewhere. And if you can figure out where that art matches, you can unlock it. That's how you unlock the backstory of your character.
Oh, no kidding.
Like where they came from.
That's kind of cool.
You can get some really powerful cards. It really engages you in like you're interacting with the art in fun ways.
That is very unique. I like that.
It's very cool. Etherfields, my number 3.
All right. My number 3 was one we've already talked about, but I will still say that it is amazing, and that's Pirates of Maracaibo.
I love that game.
Yes.
It is amazing. All right, so we're to number 2, and I have to announce there has been a dethroning.
A dethroning.
Nice. Okay.
My number 1 for years is now my number 2, and that is Descent Journeys in the Dark 2nd Edition.
I wonder what could have dethroned it.
This game has been near and dear to my heart for a very long time. I think, honestly, the reason why it has dropped a little bit is just because I have played through all of the scenarios so stinking many times. I mean, I haven't played all the characters yet, but I've played all the scenarios in the app. It's one that I would it might jump back up to number 1 if we had someone playing the Overlord. That way it would make it a little more fresh for me. But
you would have to play the Overlord because you're the one that's most familiar with it.
That's
probably
true. So I don't know how that would affect my liking. I don't know. That's a good question.
And it's kind of funny because when we're talking about Star Wars Imperial Assault, I love playing the dark side, I think.
Yeah, and
I do too.
It might be
I do
that
too.
might be the case. There's a difference though, I think, with being the dark side versus being the Overlord in Descent, because there is just the universe is different, right?
Yeah.
So I'm actually playing troopers and I'm playing the villains, and there's story already baked into the cake there with Star Wars. Whereas I'm gonna throw out some skeleton archers, right? It's kind of meaningless. Even stormtroopers have a little bit more meaning than just skeleton archers or goblin archers.
No, I get that.
So I can see that enjoyment being a little higher, being the dark side for Imperial Assault versus the Overlord for Descent. But I could be wrong because I've never played as the Overlord.
Given what I've played of both of those games, I definitely would. I totally prefer Overlord or Imperial player when I'm playing Imperial Assault. But I love the app for Descent 2nd Edition. I think that is great. I don't know that I would want to play it with an Overlord. I think it's fantastic as is.
Yeah,
app.
We've had a ton of fun with it. So, that's my number 2, Descent 2nd Edition, Journeys in the Dark.
It's a great
Very
game.
good. I still am looking forward to finishing the campaign that we're in the middle of.
I know we need to get it done.
Isfar, the dragon, Isfar, is the character I'm playing, and I like the last couple of missions that we played through that, like he really unlocked some cool stuff and is just like really like super powerful, and I'm very excited about it. So I really want to jump back in and finish that campaign. That's awesome. My number 2, of course, Oathsworn Into the Deep Wood. This is a game that I own and I'm a little more invested in, I think, than you guys, just by a pinch, just because it's, the game that sits on my shelf. Love it for all the reasons that we've already talked about. My number 2, it grew it flew up on my list really fast after I started playing it. It's just that good.
Amazing game.
Such a good game.
All right. My number 2 is, we go way back to Doug's number 23, which is just a flat out shame. But my number 2 is Stars of Icarios. Stars of Icarios uses it uses the same style of battle cards that Gloomhaven, Frosthaven uses, but this brings on that sci-fi theme, which is a theme that I very much enjoy. And you have the introduction of you're doing the planetary exploring missions, you have the space battles. All of this just compiles and provides such great experiences. And just even the dogfights where you're moving and you have to, you guys do them better than I do, but still I have a ton of fun getting shot up. But just the way you move around the board, you have to avoid the obstacles. You can't run into each other. You can't, if you run into each other, you stop short, but you have the chance of taking stress. And just there's so much about this game. And the story's been pleasant. It's a little, like we talked about the other time, it's a little
fragmented.
Fragmented, disjointed, I was going to say. But yeah, fragmented's probably better, which is probably why we used it last time.
But it still makes sense. With Gloomhaven, there were times where I lost the plot. It was like, I don't know what we're doing here.
Yeah.
For sure.
With this, it's like we maybe get a little lost and there's some side quests and stuff, but I still know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
I still know what our objective is and what we're working toward.
Yeah. In Gloomhaven, you're going and you're like, well, this is open. I'm not sure why we're going here, but it's open.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
We've got unlocked this mission, so this is what we're doing.
This is what we're doing, yeah. In Gloomhaven, I'm more concerned about, how am I going to retire my character?
Right.
Where in Stars of Icarios, I am more invested with the story. I'm more invested of what we're doing as a crew together. And I think that's something that Gloomhaven was missing, but really shines in Stars of Icarios. And I love Stars of Icarios.
Yeah, it's very good. I think the reason that it was number 23 on my list is just because, like, we played through the prologue, which was a lot of story, a lot of fun stuff, introduced everything, and then we hit Act 1. So there's 3 acts after the prologue. Mm-hmm. We're at least 3/4. I think we're very close to finishing Act 1. We're definitely narrowing in on it. We're in the final stages for sure, but I do feel like it just got maybe just a little samey. Like I'm getting just a little bit of that repetitive Gloomhaven-y kind of thing. Like we've got missions for the sake of having some things to do.
Yeah. And
I do wish that they had maybe just slashed some of the content just a little bit, some of the more repetitive things, because I love it. I still absolutely love it. I mean, it's number 23 on my list, but I think it just got a little samey, which is why it landed at 23 instead of being higher. And I'm excited to bounce into like the next act and get a whole new like plot and be in a different solar system and, advance the story for sure.
I think if they were going to do that, because I agree with you, Doug, it has become samey, but for me, it's been samey in maybe a different way. For me, it's been, we complete a quest and okay, you get rewards. You get to pick weapons from numbers 11 through 15. It's like, well, we've seen 11 through 15 like 5 times already. And we've already, we've got the weapons that we want. We've already looked through all the 1 through 20 or whatever weapons that are available to us. We've seen them all already. We're to that point, but we keep getting the same rewards, which means, we basically can sell it for money and try to buy something later. It would be nice if that was a little broader on what was available. But it sounds like we're going to unlock more stuff once we get to Act 2, which is maybe we'll freshen it up for us a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm hoping so as well.
I think so. I think there's still plenty to unlock. I also feel like we are being a little bit of like completionists.
For sure.
And that's maybe something we need to maybe give up, because we are trying to like explore every planet and every option and do all the side quests and stuff sort of as we go. And I think the game is sort of set up to be like, well, if players, if they're going to follow this plot, that's great. And then if they do this side quest, maybe there's a little extra here. But when you're doing all of it, you're going to see repetition. I think the designers, I get the feel that the designers, as they were building it, were thinking like, well, people just kind of piecemeal their way through and won't try to do it all. Little did they know.
Little did they know, yeah.
So
no, that's definitely an us issue.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I think if
we're afraid to miss out on rewards.
Yeah,
right.
I think if we were to just bounce through the plot for the most part and just pick a side quest here or there to do, I think we'd probably see some evening out in some of that.
I think that could have been, and this is would have been difficult in this game, but I think that could have been handled by having something in there to create a sense of urgency, time running out.
Yeah.
Something like that where it's like, okay, we only have so much time to do a side quest. We can pick one or two, but we've got to get to that main quest so that we can further this along, or we're going to get penalized for something, which this doesn't do. This kind of does allow you to explore everything. So naturally we want to, because we love that exploration aspect of the game. And we have the FOMO a little bit.
First, we were worried about having resources for, what's the name of the big ship? The Sparrow.
The Sparrow, yeah.
Yeah, we were worried about not having resources to power the Sparrow. And so that kind of promoted that little urgency. But then we just got to the point where it wasn't a fear anymore, right?
Well, we did all the things and got all the rewards, so now we've got all the money we need to refuel and basically do whatever we want.
Yeah, and so I think it would be nice to go back to where that resource puts some anxiety into the game.
Puts a little pressure on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we are down to our number one picks.
Number one. And here's the thing, your number one dropped from what it was.
It did.
But I think we all kind of know what your new number one is. I don't think my number one's going to surprise anyone.
No,
and
my number one's not going to surprise anyone.
I don't think Nathan's number one's going to surprise anyone. So, shocking no one, our number ones.
All right. So my new number one is, and it just moved it up to the list to number one, higher than number one. Can it be higher than number one after Friday? Because it sure feels like it.
0.5. My 0.5.
And that is Marvel Zombies. I have gotten to where I just, every time I play this game, it
gets more fun.
It does. I just end up with a bigger smile on my face. I'm like, that was, and half the time, more than half the time, I think we lose, but I still am just like, oh my gosh, that was just epically fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun memories playing this game. The missions are unique enough that it just feels
awesome.
Yeah, every time. I love it. Anyway, so we've already talked about it. I'm not going to dive too much into it, but yes, my number one is now Marvel Zombies.
It's
excellent. It's good. And I love it. And I will always love it. I'm really hoping that Deceased outdoes it. Fingers crossed, that is my fervent hope.
I hope so too, because if it does, that would mean it's a incredibly fantastic
game. Yeah. Yeah, it would take a lot to outdo Marvel Zombies. Very good pick. My number one, again, surprising no one, is Arkham Horror, the card game.
Gasp. Really?
Yeah. This is a phenomenal game. This was part of the first wave of like I said earlier, the living card game, quote unquote, thing that they were doing for a long time. They've since changed how they package these. So now they just come out as there's an investigator pack and there's or expansion, I guess I should say, as well as the story expansion. They come out basically at the same time. You just pick up the two boxes and you can keep playing. So you don't have to go chase all those little packs, which admittedly was pretty annoying in the early days of this game.
Yeah.
But this is a game that's been around for over a decade. It is all killer, no filler. For me, there is nothing bad about this game. In a pool full of thousands and thousands of cards, maybe there's a couple duds, but everything in there has a purpose. Everything in there can be used to create just incredible decks. There are so many investigators. There's the 5 different classes of investigator. At this point, about a dozen from each class that you can pick from. There's even a neutral class that you can build from. Card pool is just huge. Every single investigator has slightly unique and different deck building rules that take advantage of keywords and everything else. I mean, it's almost a game in and of itself just to create a deck. And the theory crafting and just the crazy things you can do with building a deck. I mean, I just built a Wilson deck that was built around tool belt, right? So he used tool cards, throwing pitchforks, and then they would stick, and then he could go over and pick them up and use them again. And he had this huge sledgehammer, and he had the ability to swap stuff in and out, and he was throwing hatchets and doing all this stuff. But it was just because I was exploiting edge case stuff on the cards and in the game. So much fun to play. And here's the thing, it worked and it technically was good, but it wasn't it certainly wasn't overpowered. Really struggled through. And every now and then you can come across just a golden deck where you just are okay, this is just swinging. It's firing on all cylinders, so to speak. Yeah. Just the incredible deck building part of the game in and of itself. And then you dive into all these crazy, awesome campaigns. And I love that a campaign, now in the way it started off is a box, the core, whatever the expansion you came with, it was going to introduce the first 2 missions. And then the next 6 would come out in packs that you had to buy. So for a long time, each campaign was 8 missions, which is perfect, right? Those are digestible campaigns. You can do that. You like that isn't like a Gloomhaven. It's going to be 100 and something missions to try to get through the game. So they were digestible. They were fun. You gain XP as you play, so you can upgrade all your cards. Like all of the cards that I was just telling you about that you can deck build with, they all have leveled up versions. So you can spend XP to make your character better and better and better as the game goes in these really cool digestible campaigns that tell incredible stories that make you feel incredibly like heroic. They're very thematic. It embraces that Lovecraftian theme, the dark horror. It does the Elder Gods so well. The art on everything is out of this world good. Like if you guys have not played Arkham Horror, the living card game or the card game, like do yourself a favor, go pick up a core box and start playing it like right now. Like order it right now. Everyone should play this game. It's so good.
Salvatore talks about games that he plays with, he and his wife. I mean, I don't know what his feel on the whole Arkham Macabre is, but these games are phenomenal. They really are.
They are.
And it plays well solo. And if you have somebody that you can play with that built into your home, like if you have a spouse that is willing to play games, this is a great pickup. And there is so much to explore and so much to create and build and experience. This is a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
And to hear you gush about it makes me regret calling it so bad.
Well, and the other thing too, we've talked about this before, the game pulls no punches. It is brutal and absolutely punishing. It will absolutely kill your character in 1,000 different ways and will not make a single apology for doing so. Like it's so good that way. In fact, I play it with the Deans usually, and we've been playing through campaigns and having a great time. We just started the Forgotten Age campaign again, which is a notoriously kind of harder campaign to get through, especially toward the end. We thought we had all built really good decks, and we just got raked over the coals. I mean, we started that and just got absolutely brutalized. And so now we're trying to decide whether we're going to even continue or whether we want to just
scratch and restart.
Yeah, just rebuild some new characters and start over, because man, we got hammered.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Fun stuff. It makes me want to play it again.
Yeah. I mean, you have tried it, right, Andy?
I have. I've played it a couple times, and it's amazingly fun.
Yeah. No, it is a phenomenal game for sure.
That's probably one I ought to look up too, because let's see, 127 plays of that.
Yeah. Well, that takes a little bit longer than Marvel Champions.
It does. Right. Like every single one of those is like a 2 to 4 hour game.
Commitment. Yeah.
Not to mention the deck building.
Yeah,
correct.
Which again, you mentioned it right from the beginning, is almost a game in itself. Yeah, great pick. My number one is one we've already talked a little bit about today, and that is Star Wars Imperial Assault. I love this for very much a lot of the same reasons that you love Descent, second edition. The story written on these and the theme. This is Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're playing as, and you're not always playing, well, you're not ever playing as one of the key characters. You're playing the guy that's in the background, the gal that's in the background, and you're making their story. And you might interact and rub elbows with Han Solo or Luke Skywalker, but you're not playing them. You're playing your own character. You're telling your own story.
Which I think is great.
Yeah. And yes, it does have the limitations of kind of the path that you can take. Usually when you're expanding your character, upgrading your character, you usually get the choice between A and B and what are you going to do. But still, the experience and the stories that they have, it breaks my heart that Fantasy Flight put their stamp on this game is done, because there's so much more that could be there. Right? Yeah. I have money waving at Fantasy Flight. And they're just too good for my money. Game.
I mean, again, we go back to experiences and all that. Just really quick, fast anecdote. I was playing with Chandler Cole and Mike, and I would play as the Imperial player, and the Imperial player kind of has these points as the game goes on. They have like these points that they can gather, and then they can spend them to field bigger units. And I remember in the middle of one of our campaigns, it was maybe closer to the end. It wasn't like the final scenario, but it was toward the end of one of the campaigns we were playing. I had spent the points to field Vader. And I mean, it literally had them like like standing at the table. It's like, no, are you kidding? Like Vader, like, you know, they're making all this progress and making it, and then Vader shows up, and it's like a real, actual threat. And the thing is, I had him, I was pushing him back. It kind of turned the tides. I think I had like wounded one of them, so they were hurt and not quite. Their character wasn't quite as good. You know, they have that thing where you like flip the character over or whatever. And then Mike was playing like I forget the name of the character, but it was the Wookiee character. And he had like this big old vibro act. He was like, forget this, I'm going in.
Nice.
And he just did like a full on attack, had an insane run of dice rolls and just kicked Vader's trash. And it was just one of those stand and cheer moments, right? For everyone, even for me, I was just like, that was incredible. Just these amazing like story moments that emerge when you're playing Star Wars Imperial Assault. It's such a good game. Man, I can't believe we haven't gotten this out for as long as we have, because it's just so good. Probably because it's a campaign game, and campaign games we're kind of on lockdown a little bit because we got to finish the ones we're currently playing.
Yeah, but I still really want to get this one to the table again, because it is an amazing game.
Yeah, it is.
Awesome. Well, that is each of our top 10 list of games that we have come to love enough to have them be our 10 favorite games.
Yeah.
It's a mighty fine list of games, if I do say so myself.
It is. A lot of crossover, but the one that
Can't imagine why.
Oathsworn was the only one that made all of our lists, which is kind of interesting.
And
as far as the top 10.
All of our lists in the top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Love it. I'm trying to think if there were... Marvel Zombies made all of our lists.
Yeah.
Not all in the top 10, but that one was on everyone's. Oathsworn and Star Wars Imperial Assault. So those were the three that all of us had on our top 30s. So
that must mean something.
Excellent games. Tell us what your top 10 is by dropping us a line at meeplenation@gmail.com. Until next time.
We will hear you. No, we won't. You'll hear us talking about more amazing games and eagerly waiting to find out what's on next year's top 30 at the game table.
Is it a secret?
I don't know why it's a whisper,
Oh,
but
okay.
letting the air out of the ball.
Yes.
Wow. Deflated.
Keep it secret. Keep it secret.
That's right.
Thank you for listening and being a part of Meeple Nation. If you would be so kind as to follow, subscribe, share, and rate or review this podcast, it really helps to spread the fun. You can be more involved in supporting the podcast by joining the nation at patreon.com/MeepleNation, or you can find a link at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. And while you're there, look at all our extra content. There are links to all our past episodes, a wide variety of blogs, pictures from our Instagram feed, and bios for all the hosts and our awesome bloggers. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all under Meeple Nation. If you would like to chat with the hosts or other members of the nation, you can join our Facebook group, Meeple Nation Off Air. We hope to see you again at a game night, a con, or maybe a suspense-driven evening of Werewolf. Thank you for listening and supporting Meeple Nation, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
Thank you so much for listening. We very much want to thank our patrons who help keep the podcast running. I personally want to thank my co-hosts for all the help they provide with both content here on the podcast, in addition to what we have available on our website. Without them, the podcast would not happen. If you too would like to support the podcast, you can join the nation at patreon.com/Meeple_nation. Or you can find a link to Patreon at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. If you have any questions, comments, or games you feel should be on our radar, you can always reach us at meeplenation@gmail.com. We can't wait to hear from you. I am grateful to Doug and Andy who helped me edit episodes, and I want to thank James and Kim Clark who do the editing on our blogs and on our webpage, which can be found at meeplenation.com. We want to thank Brain Detergent for our music. If you want to find more from him, you can follow his links that can be found on our webpage, or simply search for Brain Detergent on YouTube to find more of his tracks. Thank you again for listening and being part of the Meeple Nation community.